Ready to optimize your body copy? In most cases, the answer to a question like that is no, not really. And yet, so many websites, emails, and ads use that phrasing. Ready to blank, ready to lose weight, ready to change your life, ready to start your trial? No, not at all. Today, we're going to replace those first draft closed questions with engaging open questions that will have your audience agreeing with you instead of just sneering at you like your teenage self used to do when your parents were all ready to go to school. This is your tutorial of the week. To use it, block 30 minutes in your calendar to watch it. It does not have to be today. Invite your team to join you, watch it together, create action items, and do the work I show you. Open the right tool for the job, like your CMS, right now, and let's get going. So here is an example of a closed question in copy. Now, the problem with most closed questions is that they force the prospect to answer yes or no. And while you hope that the prospect answers the way you want them to, they could just as easily answer the other way. If you want a yes and they give you a no, now you just got your prospect to disagree with you. And that's generally not going to be good for conversion, particularly not in anonymous online environments like your website, ad, or email, where there's very little chance to turn their no back into a yes. We want our prospects to align with us. So we need to ask questions that get them to align with us, which is why you should never ask a yes/no question in your copy if you're not sure how your prospect will answer it. And you should always try defaulting to open-ended questions. Let me show you how. So there are many ways we can go with the questions that we're going to ask. These open-ended questions that get our prospect engaged in a conversation with us rather than answering yes/no questions, usually answering them wrong as far as we're concerned. So here are some ways in. What I want you to take away is to not close the conversation or focus your prospect on yes or no. Okay, so a couple ways in are kind of in the conditional. So what if you could, what if you would, what would change if, and how could. Those are a couple ways in. What if and how could are really good starting points for questions when you're rewriting a crosshead like this or any copy where you're asking a question. So in this case, we have, what if you could lift the veil and invite your team to collaborate on your first draft? Now, when you ask a question, your prospect is typically answering it. So you need to make sure that however you're phrasing it, it's going to work out in your favor. If you're introducing any objection like, oh no, if I do that, if I invite my team to collaborate on the first draft, now I'm never going to shut them up. Maybe. And that's why we have lift the veil. So this idea that only designers could possibly come up with the right design, we can worry about that maybe being the truth later on, but early on, what if you invited your team to collaborate on that first draft? Cool, that's a question. It opens up a conversation. If we did feel that this lift the veil wasn't doing enough to kind of mitigate any risk here, like, oh, well, removing secrecy is good for most roles. Doesn't mean it's always true, but this is at least going to open up that conversation with you and your prospect. What if your whole team felt involved in that critical first draft? It's hard unless you're a very jaded person, and I'm not sure that that's Balsamic's audience, but I can't imagine. Now, again, this is copywriting and we're doing this on the fly. I don't have insight into voice of customer data for Balsamic, so I can't say if this would be good or bad, but what we can say objectively is that this is a question that our ideal prospect, if they read it, they're likely to now be more interested in the possibilities that come with collaboration. So that's a what if, that was a what if, we have got now how. So how engaged would your clients feel if you invited them to collaborate early in the process? Another one, how would your job improve if you could easily collaborate on your designs? So those questions are doing more heavy lifting than a closed yes/no question could possibly do. Even if the prospect agrees with you with those yes/no questions, it's still a very small statement. It's a tiny nod along with you, whereas something like this actually covers a good message, and it does so in question form, which is of course always slightly more engaging than just kind of being talked at. So reading how would your job improve if you could easily collaborate on your designs, or any of these might better, again, open up that conversation, which is really important because that's what sales is. It's a conversation. And when we're talking about copywriting, it's a difficult conversation to have because you're not really in control. So if your prospect is reading any of this, that's phenomenal. You're in good shape. And by the way, yes, they are. And you want to make sure that you're using every opportunity you have with your words to engage them further so that they're really in that conversation with you instead of disagreeing with you and thinking like, you're the worst, you don't get me at all. Your task now is to read over any page on your website and look for yes/no questions. If you find one, rewrite it using what you just learned. And keep this training in mind whenever you write anything going forward. Never hope your prospect will say yes to you when in fact they are just as likely to say no. It's your job to get them to the yes, and if you can do that, then and only then can you ask a yes/no question. And confidently be sure that they will nod along with you instead of giving you all sorts of attitude. Mom. If you loved this and want more, we have got you. In 10x landing pages, you will see how to build on what you learned in this tutorial so you can improve results. 10x landing pages is one of our most popular programs because it's quick, it's foundational, and it helps you write everything better. And best of all, it is available at a startup-friendly price.